Cloud. Cool. Well, this is OKIF or OCWG meeting number 41. And we've got a couple of people who are working on some different Canvas apps and working with different Canvas apps. And we've been having discussion of kind of how, well, just about the apps that they're working with and what their motivation was in being here. Um, yeah, I've been an update for you, Max. I've been spending the last hour in 0.7 in the spec, and directionally, I think I'm thumbs up with like our compression to nodes. Um, you're on mute, by the way.
That was my main question, whether that direction is actually good or bad. Yeah.
I think so. I had kind of an aha moment. Slim and Pratam, to catch you guys up, we have a 0.6 spec out there. And in the 0.6 spec, there is something that is baked into the spec that's kind of a fundamental part of it, which is there's a separation between an idea of a node, which is a visual element that exists on the canvas, and a relation, which is an invisible element, which represents something like the structure of the nodes. So it could be like a parent-child relationship. It could be an edge between two things. This points to that. But we had tried to, for the last year and a half, really kind of cleave between those two. And it led to several awkward trade-offs at different times. And we ended up having to extend one, and then we had to extend the other in the same way. And then I think it was Max or somebody proposed a few weeks ago, about a month ago, I guess, that what if these are just the same thing? And what if we kind of have just one concept that can be visual and it can also be invisible. And we just use the same, because we already had the same extension mechanism for both. And so we collapsed both of those things down into one thing in 0.7. So I've been reviewing Max's proposal in 0.7 to collapse it. A couple things stuck out at the high level. One, it really does simplify the spec. There's one kind of thing that can be visual, it cannot be visual. But instead of, I had a little bit of that sense of you're trying to make a taxonomy out of things that can't be taxonomized. And I realized that that's what we've been doing for the last year. We've been trying to say, you go this way, you go that way. You're an extension. You're a relation. You're an extension. And then there was like that middle thing. We're like, well, if you look at it from that angle, it's kind of a node. If you look at it from that angle, it's kind of a relation. I don't know. And we even like had two different things, one thing, a node extension and a relation extension. And we're like, they're kind of doing the same thing, but one is doing it to nodes, one's doing it to anyway, so I think the spec is simpler and stronger for it, and we're not forcing people to think about a concept like, is it a node or is it a relation? It's just all nodes. And so I think I'm on board. I've been going through and making a bunch of nitpicky edits and comments to the spec because I haven't done a top to
Yeah.
bottom read through of the spec in probably 3 or 4 versions. So
There are probably many details that profit from a thorough review.
so I'm
Just
in the
this,
middle of that thorough review.
yeah, very good. So this collapsing also changed almost all schema URIs because then suddenly you can shorten them. Everything becomes somehow simpler, but also different. So
Yeah,
it's quite important that we get this O7 stable and out there
ASAP.
soonish
Yeah,
so that people don't settle on something different.
absolutely. Yeah, and then I know Aaron's not here today, so I'm going to say something that's somewhat controversial that he would potentially object to. But I think we're getting very close to the point where we need to like freeze the spec. And I think post 0.7, obviously you want people like implementers, you want 5 to 7 implementations and that kind of stuff, and implementation feedback and that kind of thing. But yeah, I could see 0.7 as being like a kind of a milestone of there probably won't be a ton of major changes after 0.7 because it really does simplify the surface area a lot. And we might have additive changes in terms of new extensions, which is it's designed to
Yeah.
support that. But I feel like we've covered a lot. So yeah, I mean, like great work, Max. It's been great reading through that, and I think we can definitely get that out soon. After the call today, I want to keep reading and finish my review and get that pushed up for you to comment on. So
Yeah,
that
and as soon as we have the stable.7, which yeah, also in my mind is quite stable, and yeah, I agree. I can resume working on implementing a library. I mean, my language is Java, so
sure,
but that can then be used to convert from into other systems.
absolutely. Yeah, the other update for me, which is not strictly OCWG related, is that over the last few weeks, or actually no, it's not even been a week yet. The last 6 days, I've been using Codex to build out a pretty significant application and library based entirely on a spec. So basically, like I had it work, I worked with it to break the spec down into sort of stages at which you would build it, and then define each stage rigorously based on the specification. And then I've just basically been slowly cranking through um, that that build for about 6 days now, using like every single token that I own across all my accounts every day. But I now with that experience under my belt for the last week, I realized that like the OCF spec is should be very amenable to that approach of a spec-driven development, and we may be able to end up with more than one reference implementation fairly quickly. Yours in Java, I'll probably do one in TypeScript. Um,
Yeah, I
so,
think we should have one in TypeScript. That's probably the mainstream.
right.
Yeah. And if we have an OCF TypeScript library, wouldn't that be the core of OCF enabled apps? Probably.
I think
Like,
so, and that's so. I think this is actually a really good segue to Pratham, who's working on Canvas, open source, sorry, an Obsidian open source clone called Locus, and Locus does have the basics of what you think of with Obsidian, and also has a Canvas. And yeah, you had a, I think maybe Slim on your behalf, or you had some questions in the Discord. So I just wanted to turn it over to you to like what would you need in order to use OCIF? What would you want to use it for?
Yeah, so Slim like introduced me. Actually, I was first I was using TL Draw for
Mhm.
the Canvas library. Then I recently migrated to Excel Draw, Excalidraw, because TL Draw was having problems with the builded version of the application for some reason. In dev mode, it was working properly, but in build, it was just breaking. So I had to migrate from there. Um, and the problem which I was facing um, is that these are like Excalibur and all these are good, but if someone else from let's say Obsidian or Logstack or other note-taking app comes to my locus, they cannot actually transfer the things they made in their knowledge management systems. So Slim told me about it, and he introduced me to you guys, and thank you for that. But I would like to know. I got the basic idea of what you guys are doing. I checked out the repositories on your uh, GitHub. I just and you explained it very well too. But is there any way that we can integrate that in Locus? Because as I said, I use Excalibur, so it's a different kind of format. It's just it's kind of adjacent format, right? So would that be supported, or how would that work?
well, there are two basic ways to integrate with OCF. One would be the import-export case, which we have mostly in mind. And then some people already went ahead and did some sort of live export. So to have two apps really stay in sync, so you have two browser windows open and you edit in one, it changes in the other, and you edit here and it changes back here. That's the holy grail. And I'm not so sure if OCF really covers all corner cases for that because it wasn't really designed for that case. Although we saw some prototypes already where it was kind of working. So, but yeah, that's not enough research. But the import export case, that's what we came for.
Yeah.
And basic idea is to say, yeah, you have your internal format. In your case, it's Excalidraw for the canvas. So we only need an export from Excalidraw to OCIF, and then from OCIF to other formats. And this ecosystem is not very large yet, but Excalidraw to OCIF is probably a very main conversion way.
Yeah.
And also using code agents, if you have a spec, and the OCIF spec is really detailed. For most other formats like Excalidraw, the spec is less clear. But for open source tools, you can read the source code, and the agents are not bad in that. So if you tell them, look, here's the source code of tool A, Excalidraw, here's a spec, I need you to convert the JSON of that into that. It will require 3 passes and some test files, but then it will likely work. And then we can
Got it.
commit such a converter to OCIF libs, our tool repository, or OCIF tools. Yeah, and grow from there. So that's our vision for that.
Yeah,
Sound.
can I say something?
Excellent.
This idea of separating the storage format from the editing format is very brilliant, actually, yeah. Because for apps like Locus, it will really be a bottleneck if people coming from Obsidian, expecting an Obsidian clone, don't have the same format, they will not use Locus, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They expect really the same format and, drop-in replacement. And so I really think that with today computing power, like real-time translation can be doable. But don't you think that that he's using Tori, okay? And do you think it will be more performant in Rust, like doing the translation in Rust rather than in TypeScript? I don't know. I really don't know.
I think for most maps of realistic size, it won't matter, to be honest. I mean, a
Okay.
normal map has hundreds to thousand entities, and the images themselves are external resources, not part of the
Yeah,
in-memory
of
stuff.
course.
So churning through 1,000 items and some coordinates,
Okay, it's the
it
same.
doesn't matter.
Okay, and I just wanted to be sure that it can be so two conversion from the Excalibur to OCIF and from
Yeah.
OCIF to JSON and then to JSON to OCIF and from OCIF
OCIF is a
to
JSON format. So,
yes,
but
sorry.
from
No,
OCIF
I
to
mean
the
JSON
Obsidian
Canva.
JSON, right?
I mean JSON Canvas, yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so like there's 1, 2, 4 translation. So from Excalibur to OCIF, from OCIF to Canva, from Canva to OCIF, from OCIF to Excalibur. Okay.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know if performance-wise it will be the same in TypeScript and Rust, and you are saying it will be the same practically for single Canva, right?
It will not be the same, but it will not be noticeable that there is a
Okay.
difference.
Okay. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
my expectation.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think if you oh, sorry, my bad.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to know because as we discussed, the Obsidian Canva, it's something I really like. It's minimalistic, okay?
Yeah, but it's
Because
almost
me,
too minimalistic.
yeah, but I will tell you something. Me, I don't need handwriting because I use remarkable tablet, you know? Everything I do in handwriting, I use paper tablet. And when I'm on my laptop, I just use keyboard. So I really don't need all this handwriting and so on. So I really like the JSON Canvas format. But since Excalibur is more general, I don't know how to say that, more polyvalent, I would say. I think it can be a problem if the Excalibur engine does not have something like a compatibility mode. Like looking down, maybe the feature, I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. So basically, if you exported from an Excalibur whiteboard to and then opened it in JSON Canvas, a JSON Canvas viewer like Obsidian, you would lose some of the features from the Excalibur whiteboard that aren't supported in Obsidian.
Yes, you would.
Yep.
Yeah, so upstream Canvas editor need to think about a compatibility mode like disabling handwriting, for instance. I'll give you an example. What it means in JSON Canva to change the font. You know, in Excel you can change the font, right? If I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
What it means when you save that to JSON Canvas. for instance. Can you explain what will happen
Sure.
if the user tinker with the fonts, with handwriting? What will happen in the storage format of JSON
Yeah, so
canvas?
in OCIF we designed so many ways to represent everything that you don't lose anything. So I think
Mm,
we can faithfully round trip from Excalibur to OCIF and back without losing anything. That should work. But Obsidian Canvas this JSON Canvas format is so simplistic that it doesn't store font information. It has only 6 colors. So if you store it in that small format, things will get lost. I mean, for sure.
mm,
Yeah.
So if the font was changed, it just has no effect later downstream. It still kind of works. The text goes through, but the font change doesn't. And
mm,
that's maybe not too bad after all, because if you use a tool that has no fonts, then obviously you don't need font changes.
mm,
Yeah, the general idea here is that well, there's two different answers too, in addition to this, which is if a uh, editor becomes OCIF aware, they could decide to store properties that they don't know how to read or write. So they don't know what the properties mean. And so that we call like maintaining the property bag. Editors don't have to do that, but if they did that, then they could export out the OCIF, even though and have like true round tripping right out of the application, um, because they left the properties intact that they didn't know what to do with. That's
mm,
going to be tricky, and that requires a much deeper level of adoption for the individual like Canvas implementers. But it's absolutely something that's on the table. The slightly easier version of this is if you open that OCIF file in Obsidian and Obsidian do some edits in Obsidian, and then you want to round trip back to Excalidraw, you could merge those changes onto the original OCIF file. This also will be imperfect,
Mm.
right? Because there might have been some changes, like you might have moved something on top of something in the Obsidian file that the Obsidian couldn't see, but OCIF could knows that it's there. So then you've got like some collisions and stuff like that. So you might have nonsensical behavior, but you can at least like merge the two back and then go back into Excalidraw with it and not have lost all of the things that were Excalidraw specific. We have designed like a fallback system, where when a canvas doesn't know how to represent a specific node or that kind of stuff, we at least like draw a fallback canvas. So they give several different options for fallbacks that the implementing canvas can choose to use that doesn't know when it doesn't know how to represent a specific feature. So one of the things we could do in our like OCIF to Obsidian step could be like generate the fallbacks on the Obsidian canvas, and that could be like an optional part of the export, right? If you're going that Excalidraw to OCIF route, and some feature exists in Excalidraw that Obsidian doesn't know how to represent, we can at least put a giant rectangle there and label that rectangle as the thing that it is, and that allows it to at least be represented on the Obsidian side of things so that you can visually see what's there, even if you can't do anything with it. You can't watch the YouTube video or whatever the Obsidian, or you can't see the scribble or whatever the Excalidraw feature is.
mm.
So several different
Okay.
ways to handle this, and I think it'll come down to what your use case is, and then also how much the implementing canvas wants to kind of wed themselves to OCIF. Um,
I think
Okay.
I think also at some point Obsidian Canvas might evolve into a slightly more complex format
Yeah.
because I mean, they were really quick in doing something and documenting it, and that is really cool. But yeah, there's so much explosion now in the space that maybe they will move on. And our hope, of course, is that they might adopt OCIF as an storage format
Sure.
in another version. Yeah.
That actually brings up an interesting point, Pratam. Are you planning on continuing to use Excalidraw? Is kind of your thinking right now?
So the thing is, I tried TLDraw, tried like two other libraries of canvases. For some reason, none of them are working good with Rust backend. It's just in production, it just breaks for some reason. I tried a lot. I was working for that on that for like a month, and I don't seem to have a solution for other libraries. TLDraw also failed. So for now, if I don't get something which actually works in Rust, um, then I'll be using Excalidraw for a while till then. Yeah.
Gotcha. So but you are not planning on writing your own. You're thinking of using somebody's library.
Yes. Yeah, because that would be too much of an overhead to work with, because like making our own library is not
Mm.
Yep.
exactly what
I
we're.
found a library named, I don't know if it's good for that purpose, named ReactFlow. You know it?
React
Uh,
Flow.
Yeah, it looks like JSON Canvas somewhat, the look.
Hmm.
And it's used by Zapier, the famous connector, like the tool that connect APIs together,
Hmm.
Zapier.
Yeah.
Now it's replaced by OpenClaw, so it's another topic, but yeah. And they use that for designing the nodes and so on. And I think it might be more minimalistic for working, like, for compatibility with JSON Canvas as a front end, maybe.
Hmm.
I'm still talking with other maintainer and exploring what tools I can suggest to people,
Hmm.
Are you
but I just
talking
found,
about, sorry, are you talking about React Flow?
yeah, React Flow, sorry. You understand?
Okay.
Sorry, my
Hmm.
my English is not good. I'm living in France.
But is that a generic canvas
Uh, uh,
thing?
I think maybe it can
I think
be.
it's less. I mean, uh, one of these guys was in our Discord at one time.
Yeah,
The
Moritz,
company is
Moritz,
XYFlow,
React Flow. Hmm.
and they built like a toolkit which you can use for diagrammatic apps and canvases. But I'm
Hmm,
not so sure if React Flow out of the box is like Excalidraw, where you can really just draw actually.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Okay.
Um,
Uh, yeah, go on.
it's
um,
certainly high quality at this
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, Jess.
Hmm.
So I am really, really intrigued with uh OCWG and the repositories you made for the I can't pronounce that word, but how do I actually integrate it in Locus? Because it's a really big pain point for me too right now. Because user conversion is really slow because that's not possible from Obsidian to this.
Hmm.
So how can I get this integrated into Locus?
Right. I think the quickest path that I could think of, especially because you have this very specific use case, which is I want to allow people to come from other tools into my tool, is I would build assuming you're using Excalidraw, you need to know what canvas, like decide on which canvas you're going to use first, and then,
Yeah.
then and then build the OCIF to your canvas
Hmm.
um, path. So
Gotcha.
the nice thing about that is you don't have to implement everything in OCIF. You actually
Hmm.
have a target canvas, which is Excalidraw. And
Hmm.
so all you need to do is implement, and you don't have to implement every single feature in Excalidraw because you could actually drop some things when people are importing canvases. As long as you get like 95%, 98% of what they have on the canvas, they're probably going to be satisfied. So you
Yeah.
can like look through the Excalidraw spec and like basically you use the OCIF spec. And then like what Max was saying is like have a coding agent, like um, basically have some example Excalidraw files and then say like I want to be able to write an OCIF file that when I run it through this process produces this Excalidraw file. What does the
Hmm.
OCIF file look like? Right. So the first step is go from OCIF to Excalidraw, and then you need to decide which things you want to convert from. Like if you want to bring in users from Obsidian, which is the place that I would recommend starting because JSON Canvas is just so simple, then
Hmm.
a JSON Canvas to OCIF exporter would be the next thing, or conversion path would be the next thing, and that one would be incredibly simple because
Yeah.
there's so few features, and then that's really all you need. Once you have a like JSON Canvas to OCIF and OCIF to Obsidian, I mean, so sorry, OCIF to Excalidraw, you have your user import path. So now when people are coming and they bring you their Obsidian vault, you can go and parse those JSON canvas files and turn them into Excalidraw through OCIF. Now, one might ask the question, like, why not just bypass OCIF and go straight from JSON canvas to Excalidraw? And the answer is that once you have Obsidian Canvas to OCIF to Excalidraw, adding another node, like adding another import path, you only have to write that to OCIF, and then you basically you're creating that like centralization layer where you can just like all you need to do is get things into OCIF, and then OCIF will handle the mapping onto Excalidraw. And here's the really cool thing: what if you dropped Excalidraw? Oh no!
Yeah.
You've written if you've written like all these things direct to Excalidraw, leaving OCIF out, now you're stuck on Excalidraw until you move all of your migrators. But if you wanted to move from Excalidraw to another canvas, all you have to do is write OCIF to that new canvas, and you could move.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That sounds amazing. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome. But yeah, I think there'll be some experience. I wish that we already had the libraries set up. We started this project in 2024. Coding with LLMs was in a very different place in 2024 than it is in 2026. I think it's probably been really good for us in that we've focused almost all of our time on the spec. That's where we spend.
Yeah, suddenly it's
And now coding agents have caught up to a point where you could take a spec and just say, please implement this. Just make the code part work. So we should be in a good spot here.
I just wanted to say something to Patel. Like what I want trying to do with this awesome list is to, gather all the stakeholders that want to build Obsidian clones, and maybe together you build this as a library together. Like you share this code for making Canvas. And almost everyone is interested. Like I tracked approximately 10 maintainers. They all told me, yeah, I'm interested. It's very interesting. I wish I could do that. That way it would make my project better and people can come from Obsidian. The problem is there is no library and I'm alone. So we need this to put this project, together, like creating this as a library, not just for Locus, but for all people that want to build something related simply to just a JSON Canva editor. That's what I wrote initially in your issue tracker. I wrote collaboration on an open JSON Canva editor. Like not just for Locus, not just for Obsidian clones, but just a generic JSON Canva editor, which can take as input, a JSON Canva file and work with an Excalibur frontend, Yeah. And you can put that not just in Locus, but in any generic editor,
Yeah.
You understand? Like trying to just make that a library and generalize it so that many people will start using it, not just you, and we'll have many feedbacks and so on.
Okay.
And I think it's even in the interest of the OCWG group, your group, the Open Canvas group. I think it's in your interest to build a demo, like a generic editor. Using that algorithm, like using your libraries, you know what I'm trying to say right now.
Yeah.
Like you show a demo, like because you said there are demos. I didn't find a demonstration with Excalibur.
So what I'm thinking is I'll make a standalone library for conversion to OGIF and then to Excalibur and publish it, so other maintainers do not have to build everything from scratch. So they can just start using it. And yeah, I can start working on that. That sounds a nice idea. Yeah.
Yeah, and we had some of the Excalibur folks involved in the early meetings back in 2024, and I think that there is general interest from Excalibur and TLDraw. TLDraw has published a library recently. I'm not sure how complete it is. So I think I think especially they're looking for something like this, like someone who is consuming their library that says, I actually need OCIF for this use case. and to build something like that to kind of show the interest there before they invest the development time into it. So
Mm. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
I
I try to
think
say.
I think Slim said it perfectly that this is a work that should be shared among all these developers because it really everybody benefits. I mean, import export is just not the cool feature of any app, but if you can import around, then you can just let your app shine much more. By the way, here's another developer, a special guest today. That's Heiko from Infinity
Hey.
Maps.
Hello.
nice.
Awesome.
Hello, hello.
Special
Where did
appearance
Max? Where did you say he's from? Or where?
from Germany, from Infinity Maps IO.
Infinity Maps. Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
that's the guy,
Yeah.
the brain behind it.
Another Canvas user.
Mm.
We're working on it.
It's nice.
O7 needs to launch.
Yes, O7 needs to land. Well, we already have the Canvas extensions, which allow for nesting of canvases. We can do nested canvases, so we can support Infinity Maps main feature.
Yes.
Yeah. No, very cool. Okay, Pratham, well, like, feel free to reach out in the Discord if there's any, like, you need any help with anything. I jokingly said in the chat, the Zoom chat, that let's only spend the tokens once to build this stuff.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
so even yeah, I'm happy to like jump in and help with some review or that kind of stuff to kind of push things along. Because yeah, it'd be great to have the library. And then as Max mentioned a few minutes ago, we do have an OCIF lib um, repo within OCWG where we were hoping to collect all of the libraries together once we have an opportunity to. But don't wait on that. Like, just feel free to like do it under your personal GitHub or your org GitHub. We'll go from there, and we'll figure out what it might look like to promote a library to like the OCWG overall. But one thing we can do as soon as it's like as soon as you're ready is make sure that all of the OCWG resources like point to that library so that as people come and they're like, oh, I want to use OCIF, like, are there any libraries out there that they have a pointer to your stuff and then they stumble across it. And so more people using it, more eyes,
Yeah,
always better for open source.
definitely. Yeah. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I know we have another 15 minutes. I don't have any other topics. Bye, Infinity Maps guy.
See you.
Um,
Max,
Unfortunately,
talking
Jeff,
about you.
I gotta run. I have a meeting to attend, but thank you so much. It was really nice talking to everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
And I'll be connected on Discord. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Yeah, come back with
Okay.
more questions.
Yes.
For sure. I'm gonna
Yeah.
bug
Tell
you
us-
more. Don't worry about it.
Exactly. Tell us why the spec doesn't work.
Definitely.
Most valuable feedback.
Yeah. Definitely. Thank you. See ya.
You're welcome. See ya.
Okay, see you.
All right.
Bye, Max. I just want to go spend more time editing. So
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
okay, cool.
Go
All right,
for
man.
it.
Talk soon. Bye.
Yeah.